guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. And in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Taylor versus Cameron rematch. And if you're new around here though and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like video if you do indeed like video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Cameron is 18-0 with 8 KOs and Taylor is 22-1 with 6 KOs. This fight is for the IBF, IBO, WBA, WBC and WBO World Super Lightweight titles. The first fight between the two of them ended with Cameron winning via majority decision. This is in Taylor's home country of Ireland again. Taylor is 37 and Cameron is 32. Taylor is 5'5" and Cameron is 5'8". And to speak about what I've just been saying, of course, they're running it back straight after the last fight being just a few months ago. I think it was like early this year. I think it was, I can't remember the exact month, but they're running it back, and it's yet again in Ireland. Cameron willing to come back over to Taylor's home country, for which I'm sure to be another big payday for both fighters. So I suppose to an extent, business-wise, it makes sense. Obviously, the first fight ended with Cameron getting the decision win, when a lot of people were going to think that possibly that she was going to get, maybe not robbed, but she was not going to get the nod because of Taylor being in Ireland, but she managed to get it, and so congratulations to her in that aspect, to kind of defy the odds and be able to get a victory when a lot of the times, especially as of recent, we've seen these judges be more not biased but just have a more of a lean towards one fighter than the other, and so yeah, she still defied the odds in that aspect, and so yeah, it's a big thing to do nowadays currently in boxing. Taylor, of course, being the older fighter, there's questions from that last performance of where she's at in her career, if she can still fight at the top level and all of that, but I'm sure she can, and I think even if she is to lose this rematch, there's still things that she can do. I mean, I believe she's still undisputed at lightweight. I might be wrong, but she can go and fight down at lightweight. Like, there's no problems with that, and she's still going to have lots of big fights there. And I think the Serrano fight's always realistically going to be there, and so there's still lots of big fights available to her, even if she does lose. But of course, if she does win this, then she goes back to being that kind of superstar fighter in the women's division, one of the best, if not the best, in the women's divisions. Of course, Cameron being that of a bigger fighter, you kind of expect that from somebody who is naturally of a bigger weight, and she imposed that kind of bigger physical frame upon Taylor throughout majority of the fight in that last fight. And I'm going to speak a bit more about the last fight when I kind of go through both fighters, but we'll also speak about another fight that's on this card, being Nicholson versus Wildheart for the interim WBC World Featherweight title. Of course, we had Wildheart on the channel a little while ago. I'm not going to base that off what my prediction is, but I think that Wildheart will win via unanimous decision. I've seen both fighters fight a few times now, and Nicholson, I don't think she's bad by any means, but I just don't know if she's quite world level yet. And I think Wildheart, I mean, she's coming off a gutsy performance against Michaela Mayer, where she did give it a roll and didn't get outboxed and didn't get outclassed. Like, it was a close fight, and I think Wildheart will be able to win this one. I think obviously the judges are going to be more in favour of Nicholson, but I think Wildheart might be able to outwork her and just have that bit more gutsy, gritty performance to be able to get through it and be too much for Nicholson, and just kind of maybe showcase to her to an extent that possibly she's not quite at the world class level as of yet, but I'm sure at some point she will be able to get to that. But yeah, I'm going to go for Wildheart victory for that one. But to go back to the main event, so Cameron as a fighter, now she knows she can win. When you're fighting somebody who is as and has been as dominant as that of Katie Taylor, and being at her home country as well, I mean, I'm sure she thought when it went to decision that she wasn't going to get the nod, just because of the way that the judges would have been looking at things from the view of, oh, Taylor's every punch that Taylor's throwing, she's getting a huge crowd reaction. And but now she knows that she can win, and she knows that even with the odds being stacked against her, she can still come out on top, and so that's going to be adding to the confidence going into this second fight for her. She's a pressure fighter. She knows when when to let her hands go, and does it when necessary. She stays disciplined as well when necessary and doesn't get too greedy, and she didn't get too greedy in that last fight. She's got a solid jab. She finds openings well. She's physically the more dominant. Like I said, she imposed herself a lot more onto Taylor in that first fight. She didn't get bullied by Taylor when often, to be fair, Taylor can bully you if you allow her to get comfortable into a fight. She's got great conditioning. She was working throughout the whole fight very well and constantly letting hands go and putting on the pressure throughout the whole fight. She's, like I said, going to be confident going into this one now that she knows she can win. She's the more powerful out of the two. She's got a high guard herself, and she's got very good body work, and she was utilising that very well against Taylor on the inside, and she can work well on the inside, and I think she can box well in the mid-range as well, and I think that's similar to Taylor. I think there are similar attributes between the two of them. I think Cameron is a pressure fighter. I believe that Taylor also can be a pressure fighter if she wants to be, but I think Cameron has little bits of things to her game that's a bit more. I think her movement is very good. The way that she moves around the ring is very nice, and the fact that she didn't get bullied was that strong, determined mindset. The body work, Taylor wasn't utilising the body anywhere near as much as what Cameron was, and the fact that she was finding them openings, I don't think Taylor was finding these same openings, bar when she was hitting the straight 1-2, where, to be fair, Taylor did find the occasional opening with that. Cameron's negatives, both fighters, they traded quite a lot, so they're going to get hit from trading quite a lot. She's got the slower hand speed. I think she did at times look a little bit flustered against the speed of Taylor when she was letting her hands go, but that was only certain times. On the back foot, I don't think she's going to be as comfortable, so if Taylor can possibly impose her herself and put her onto the back foot, which I'm sure is not going to be in the game plan of Cameron, but I don't think she's as comfortable on the back foot. I just don't think she's experienced it quite as much. She does stand a bit upright, but I suppose to an extent that's her imposing herself physically. She didn't really have much head movement, but to be fair, neither really did Taylor, so they're both coming in with the heads being quite level onto it. She's not really utilising her jab as much later on, and yeah, that wasn't. She was using it quite a lot early on, but a lot the time later on, she was just kind of coming in with the hooks, which isn't bad, but it just means that she's not setting them up quite as much. Taylor, as a fighter, and in that last fight especially, of course, she's the more experienced fighter. She's been in these positions before, maybe not been at a loss before, but she's faced a bit of adversity and been in close fights before and stuff like that. So she knows how to deal with a fighter when she's been in a close fight. She digs very deep and does always give her all in her fights. She's explosive, she's got quick hands, she's got good reflexes. She's a pressure fighter as well, majority of the time, but she's willing to fight more on the back foot if necessary. And I do think fights better on the back foot than Cameron, and I think has quicker hands than Cameron and possibly even better reflexes than that of Cameron's. She improves throughout the fight, and she did end up taking a couple of the rounds later on in the fight. She's tough, composed, and was composed early on, especially when Cameron was putting on the pressure early on, being quite a fast starter, Cameron. She also lets her hands go on the inside. She counters well. She's got solid timing. She has good straight shots, so she can keep a distance, but it was difficult against Cameron, and if she can keep a distance against Cameron, then I think it'd be interesting to see who could win at a possible mid-range, but I'm sure Cameron's not really going to be wanting that to be the case. The negatives about Taylor from that last fight, obviously we're going to have to wait and see what her reaction to the loss is and how she comes in mentally into this fight, and of course she's going to have the home crowd pressure again, and so how's she going to deal with that added pressure, which of course was there last time, but she didn't win last time, so is that pressure possibly a bit too much for her? But I don't know. And also the possible question is of if she is past her best and if she can still do the same things, and if certain fights like the Serrano fight have taken it out of her a bit. And she's also going to get trading as well, and getting hit with thundering shots from Cameron. She, in my opinion, has to move around the ring more. She was kind of just moving backwards and forwards a bit too much for my liking, and I would have liked to see her move around the ring a bit more and try and open up the ring a bit more. She was not really utilising the body work, like I mentioned. Her head movement, she didn't really have much head movement like Cameron. Her head was a bit more open and close. I think she had a bit of a more looser guard than that of Cameron's. And of course, she got backed up against the ropes quite a few times against Cameron. Cameron is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Cameron will win via unanimous decision. unanimous decision, majority decision, split decision. It could be any of them, to be completely honest. But I think it could go a similar way this same fight, and I think Taylor's going to try and move around the ring a bit more, try and utilize the body work a bit more, and try and open it up a bit more. But I think just coming into it a bit later on, I think Cameron will just end up outworking her. And even though Taylor does normally improve later on, I don't know if Cameron's going to allow that into this fight. And I think she will end up outworking, outpunching her, and just outlanding and end up getting the victory that way. Where could she go on to fight next? I mean, possibly she could go down and wait to fight for Taylor's belts. You never know. Like I said, you never know. The winner, I don't really think, to be completely honest, there's any big fights for her at the super lightweight division. So I think if she was to go up into the welterweight division, the winner of Mayer versus Jonas could be a huge fight. Or Ryan could be a big fight for the titles. I don't know. I know Ryan hasn't got a title, but or McCaskill again moving up in weight, she could try and go for McCaskill's titles. I don't know, but I don't really think there's any fights for her at super lightweight unless anybody's willing to come super lightweight to fight her. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like this, didn't you? Like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.